And isn't life like that? Every single day we get taken off course. We get busy versus focused. We want to do the run or we want to do the workout, but there's a seduction by some kind of a distraction. We have an ideal of being world class in our work, but there's an attraction to sort of taking a little shortcut. And so literally every single day is an opportunity to get back on course with that needle of your world class ideals. And so I wanted to offer you some ideas that have really served me well, because I'm just like you, I'm trying to aspire to the top of the mountain over the course of the rest of my life. And the first idea that life has really taught me is really this: small wins matter. I mean, we sometimes think that an epic life occurs one sunny Friday afternoon when the stars line up and something revolutionary occurs. And what I'm suggesting to you with great love and great respect is a great life is built not by revolution. A great life is built by evolution. Small and steady wins the race. What you do every day is far more important than what you do once every decade. I want you to really think about that idea. What you do every day is simply your life in miniature. And as you live every single day, so you're crafting your life. What you do over the next hours is really building your future. And if you can just get, and I can just get every single pocket of 24 hours right as best as we humanly can, the rest of our life is going to take care of itself. So small wins matter. The moment in front of the customer where the pull was to go average and you become merchant of wow sets you up for the next day of a way of being of wow. The little win with your family when you feel like watching TV sets you up for another win the next day. A little win of getting up at 5 o'clock and running your morning routine sets you up for a habit of a 5 a.m. club morning routine. Small daily improvements over time will lead you to stunning results. Tiny wins are the way to greatness. And that's one of the things life has taught me. When you look at the great companies, whether it's an Amazon, whether it's some of the tech startups coming out right now, whether it's a Zappos, whether it's a FedEx, whether it's a Nike, whether it's a General Electric, whether it's some of the little shops in your neighborhood that we really admire because people still cook the food with love, or they serve the food with love, or people have an attention to detail. Great companies are built by those small, steady optimizations every single day. If you look at any great product, it wasn't just one day that built the great product. It was a culture and a mindset of daily innovation and optimization when done consistently over time, which led to world class.
Let me show you this. We all live inside a bubble, right? This is our world. We go to church here, we work over here, we go get our coffee over here, we go to this park over here, we usually go over here to hang out with friends. This is our favorite club. This is our world. This is our favorite spot on the beach. We all live in this bubble. What you gotta do to get the life that God wants you to have, you gotta put more air in your bubble. You got to blow your bubble up. Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. Do not live in your bubble. Put some more air in your bubble. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful. Start putting some pressure on. Put some pressure on yourself. Get out here and get about it. Look, I'd love to sugarcoat this thing for you. I'd love to tell you, look, you can go out here and get rich, do a couple of things. That ain't happening. You got to get real doggish. You got to get downright funky if you want to make it. Now, like I was telling you before, if you want to be ordinary, you ain't even got to listen to me. Just go on about your business. If you think ordinary is cool, ain't no problem. It's some really, really wonderful ordinary people. But if you are sitting in this room and you have extraordinary aspirations, then you're going to have to do extra. You put extra on top of ordinary, and you come up with extraordinary. It's no other way. I'm sorry, but here's the fact. All of you have extraordinary capabilities. All of you. You have to decide if you are willing to do the things to put you in that category. Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life. It ain't but 24 hours in a day. You cannot be sleep 8 hours a day. You can't live in LA and wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. The stock market been open 2 hours. They already making decisions about your life and your ass was asleep. The Bible says, he who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night.
It took me a long time to understand what sacrifice meant. Because on the surface of it, especially the way it's acted out, like burnt offerings and that sort of thing, it just seems like, well, it seems so archaic and distant from us that it's not really comprehensible. But partly from reading Jean Piaget, and Nietzsche for that matter, I started to understand that people often acted out conceptions before they understood what they meant. You know, and we act out a lot of things we don't understand because we're much more complex than we can represent. So we're always acting out things we don't understand. But so there's this idea in Cain and Abel that you have to make sacrifices in order to stay on the good side of God. And so I thought about that practically, say, not so much metaphysically, but practically, and realized that that was equivalent to the discovery of time, of the future, because we do act, and this is a peculiar discovery of human beings, and maybe a consequence of our expanded intelligence, is that we're actually aware of the future. We actually treat the future as if it's something that you can bargain with. Now, partly it's because the future is other people, and they remember your reputation, they remember your past actions, and if you do someone a favor, then that favor is in some sense stored up in the future. So you can think about the future as a place of judgment about your moral actions, and it's not that far from that to imagining a God who's keeping track of that, or who even is that. But in any case, the idea of sacrifice emerges in the story of Cain and Abel, and Cain and Abel both make sacrifices to God in order to stay on his good side, let's say. And what a sacrifice means is that you give up something of value in the present so that you can improve the future. And you know, that's no different from what we call discipline. It's exactly the same thing. It's just the concretely acted out version of that. And so, you know, the idea basically was that, well, God was in the transcendent heavens. And the first question would be, well, why is that? And it's like, well, if you go out on a really dark night and look up at the sky, you have a sense of what's beyond you, what's transcendent, what's infinite. And so to associate that with the highest of values is a reasonable association, right, from an emotional point of view. So it's not particularly primitive. It's a smart metaphor, or it's a smart intuition and it's above you. And you know, we tend to think of when you're moving towards an ideal that you're moving up, that you're moving above, you're moving to the mountaintop, right? You're going up, not down. And so it all sits within that same framework. And it's partly because when you go up, like on a mountain, you can see for long distances, right? So all those things are tangled together. So anyways, so the idea is that you have to give up something of value now so that you make the future better. And sometimes it's even something you love now, and that's a good example too, because often the things that stop us from moving forward are our attachments to things that we should no longer be attached to, right? And in fact, you can almost make that definitional. If you're not moving forward in your life, there's a high probability that you have some idea or some mode of action or some habit that you're so in love with that you won't let go of it.
So I had the chance to meet with some of the kids in the program today. Where are you? Scream out. There you go. I love those kids. And so what I thought I would do, because they gave me a little bit of time to say whatever I want, is offer you a little bit of some observations for your future. I have 5 little rules that you can follow as you find your spark and bring your spark to life. The first is to go after the things that you want. Let me tell you a story. So a friend of mine and I, we went for a run in Central Park. the Roadrunners organization, on the weekends, they host races. And it's very common at the end of the race, they'll have a sponsor who will give away something, apples or bagels or something. And on this particular day, when we got to the end of the run, there were some free bagels. And they had picnic tables set up, and on one side was a group of volunteers. On the table were boxes of bagels, and on the other side was a long line of runners waiting to get their free bagel. So I said to my friend, let's get a bagel. And he looked at me and said, that line's too long. And I said, free bagel. And he said, I don't want to wait in line. And I was like, free bagel. And he says, nah, it's too long. And that's when I realized that there's two ways to see the world. Some people see the thing that they want, and some people see the thing that prevents them from getting the thing that they want. I could only see the bagels. He could only see the line. And so I walked up to the line. I leaned in between two people, put my hand in the box, and pulled out two bagels. And no one got mad at me. Because the rule is, you can go after whatever you want. You just cannot deny anyone else to go after whatever they want. Now, I had to sacrifice choice. I didn't get to choose which bagel I got. I got whatever I pulled out. But I didn't have to wait in line. So the point is you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to do it the way everybody else has done it. You can do it your way. You can break the rules. You just can't get in the way of somebody else getting what they want. That's rule number 1. Rule number 2. I like this one. In the 18th century, there was something that spread across Europe and eventually made its way to America called puerperal fever, also known as the Black Death of childbed. Basically what was happening is women were giving birth and they would die within 48 hours after giving birth. This Black Death of childbirth was the ravage of Europe, and it got worse and worse and worse over the course of over a century. In some hospitals, it was as high as 70% of women who gave birth who would die as a result of giving birth. But this was the Renaissance. This was the time of empirical data and science, and we had thrown away things like tradition and mysticism. These were men of science. These were doctors. And these doctors and men of science wanted to study and try and find the reason for this Black Death of childbed, and so they got to work studying, and they would study the corpses of the women who had died. And in the morning they would conduct autopsies, and then in the afternoon they would go and deliver babies and finish their rounds. And it wasn't until somewhere in the mid-1800s that Dr. Oliver Wendell Holmes, father of Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes, realized that all of these doctors who were conducting autopsies in the morning weren't washing their hands before they delivered babies in the afternoon. And he pointed it out and said, guys, you're the problem. And they ignored him and called him crazy for 30 years. Until finally somebody realized that if they simply washed their hands, it would go away. And that's exactly what happened. When they started sterilizing their instruments and washing their hands, the Black Death of childbed disappeared. My point is, the lesson here is, sometimes you're the problem. We've seen this happen all too recently with our new men of science and empirical studiers and these men of finance who are smarter than the rest of us until the thing collapsed. And they blamed everything else except themselves. And my point is take accountability for your actions. You can take all the credit in the world for the things that you do right, as long as you also take responsibility for the things you do wrong. It must be a balanced equation. You don't get it one way and not the other. You get to take credit when you also take accountability. That's lesson 2. Lesson 3. take care of each other. The United States Navy SEALs are perhaps the most elite warriors in the world. And one of the SEALs was asked, who makes it through the selection process? Who is able to become a SEAL? And his answer was, I can't tell you the kind of person that becomes a SEAL. I can't tell you the kind of person that makes it through BUD/S. But I can tell you the kind of people who don't become SEALs. He says the guys that show up with huge, bulging muscles, covered in tattoos, who want to prove to the world how tough they are, none of them make it through. He said the preening leaders who like to delegate all their responsibility and never do anything themselves, none of them make it through. He said the star college athletes who've never really been tested to the core of their being, none of them make it through. He says some of the guys that make it through are skinny and scrawny. He said some of the guys that make it through, you will see them shivering out of fear. He says, however, all the guys that make it through, when they find themselves physically spent, emotionally spent, when they have nothing left to give physically or emotionally, somehow, some way, they are able to find the energy to dig down deep inside themselves, to find the energy to help the guy next to them. They become SEALs, he said. You want to be an elite warrior. It's not about how tough you are. It's not about how smart you are. It's not about how fast you are. If you want to be an elite warrior, you better get really, really good at helping the person to the left of you and helping the person to the right of you. Because that's how people advance in the world. The world is too dangerous and the world is too difficult for you to think that you can do these things alone. If you find your spark, I commend you. Now, who are you going to ask for help, and when are you going to accept help when it's offered? Learn that skill. Learn by practicing helping each other. It'll be the single most valuable thing you ever learn in your entire life. To accept help when it's offered and to ask for it when you know that you can't do it. The amazing thing is when you learn to ask for help, you'll discover that there are people all around you who've always wanted to help you. They just didn't think you needed it because you kept pretending that you had everything under control. And the minute you say, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm stuck, I'm scared, I don't think I can do this, you will find that lots of people who love you will rush in and take care of you. But that'll only happen if you learn to take care of them first. Lesson 4. Nelson Mandela is a particularly special case study in the leadership world because he is universally regarded as a great leader. You can take other personalities, and depending on the nation you go to, we have different opinions about other personalities. But Nelson Mandela across the world is universally regarded as a great leader. He was actually the son of a tribal chief. And he was asked one day, how did you learn to be a great leader? And he responded that he would go with his father to tribal meetings. And he remembers two things when his father would meet with other elders. One, they would always sit in a circle. And two, his father was always the last to speak. You will be told your whole life that you need to learn to listen. I would say that you need to learn to be the last to speak. I see it in boardrooms every day of the week. Even people who consider themselves good leaders, who may actually be decent leaders, will walk into a room and say, here's the problem, here's what I think, but I'm interested in your opinion, let's go around the room. It's too late. The skill to hold your opinions to yourself until everyone has spoken does two things. One, it gives everybody else the feeling that they have been heard. It gives everyone else the ability to feel that they have contributed. And two, you get the benefit of hearing what everybody else has to think before you render your opinion. The skill is really to keep your opinions to yourself. If you agree with somebody, don't nod yes. If you disagree with somebody, don't nod no. Simply sit there, take it all in, and the only thing you're allowed to do is ask questions so that you can understand what they mean and why they have the opinion that they have. You must understand from where they are speaking, why they have the opinion they have, not just what they are saying. And at the end, you will get your turn. It sounds easy. It's not. Practice being the last to speak. That's what Nelson Mandela did. Number 5. Monty Python. 1, 2, 5, 3. For all the other nerds in the audience. There's one. Number 5. My favorite one of all. True story. There was a former Undersecretary of Defense who was invited to give a speech at a large conference, about 1,000 people. And he was standing on the stage with his cup of coffee in a styrofoam cup, giving his prepared remarks with his PowerPoint behind him. And he took a sip of his coffee and he smiled and he looked down at the coffee. And then he went off script. And he said, last year I spoke at this exact same conference. Last year I was still the Undersecretary. And when I spoke here last year, they flew me here business class. And when I arrived at the airport, there was somebody waiting for me to take me to my hotel. And they took me to my hotel and they had already checked me in and they just took me up to my room. And the next morning I came downstairs and there was someone waiting in the lobby to greet me and they drove me to this here same venue. They took me through the back entrance and took me into the green room and handed me a cup of coffee in a beautiful ceramic cup. He says, I'm no longer the Undersecretary. I flew here coach. I took a taxi to my hotel and I checked myself in. When I came down the lobby this morning, I took another taxi to this venue. I came in the front door and found my way backstage, and when I asked someone, do you have any coffee? He pointed to the coffee machine in the corner, and I poured myself a cup of coffee into this here styrofoam cup. He says the lesson is, the ceramic cup was never meant for me. It was meant for the position I held. I deserve a styrofoam cup. Remember this. As you gain fame, as you gain fortune, as you gain position and seniority, people will treat you better. They will hold doors open for you. They will get you a cup of tea and coffee without you even asking. They will call you sir and ma'am, and they will give you stuff. None of that stuff is meant for you. That stuff is meant for the position you hold. It is meant for the level that you have achieved of leader or success or whatever you want to call it. But you will always deserve a styrofoam cup. Remember that. Remember that lesson of humility and gratitude. You can accept all the free stuff. You can accept all the perks. Absolutely, you can enjoy them. But just be grateful for them and know that they're not for you. I remember getting off the Acela. I took the Acela from New York to Washington, D.C. And I got off the train like everybody else. And I was walking down the platform like everyone else. And I walked past General Norty Schwartz, who used to be the Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force, the head of the Air Force. And here I did, see a guy in a suit, schlepping his own suitcase down the platform just like me. And just a couple months ago, he was flying on private jets and he had an entourage and other people carried his luggage. But he no longer held the position. And so now he got to drag his own suitcase. And never did it sort of remind me more that none of us deserve the perks that we get. We all deserve a styrofoam cup. It was a pleasure meeting you guys this afternoon. I was blown away by your honesty and your curiosity and your poise. And I am confident that the future is bright despite the fact that America looks like an absolute mess right now. I am confident that the future is bright for one reason and one reason only, because you will grow up and you will be our future. Thank you very, very much, guys. You're wonderful.
Hi, welcome back to Mind Control.
If you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness. That's what people don't understand. By me running, I am callous in my mind. I'm not training for a race. I'm training for life. I'm training for the time when I get that 2 o'clock in the morning call that my mom is dead or something happens tragic in life. I don't fall apart. I'm training my mind and my body and my spirit so it's all one, so I can handle what life is going to throw at me. Because the life I've lived, it throws a whole bunch at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared for that, you're just going to crumble and you're good for nobody. We are all great. No matter if you think you're dumb, no matter if you think you're fat, no matter if you are fat, no matter if you've been bullied, or no matter if you just got back from Iraq or Afghanistan and you have no legs or your arms or whatever, man, we all have greatness. It just, you gotta find the courage. You gotta find the courage to put your Bose headphones on and silence the noise out of this world and to find it. And to find it because it's out there, but it's gonna take hard work, courage, self-discipline. It's gonna take all the non-cognitive skills. All the non-cognitive skills to be great. You know, smart is good, all this stuff is good, that's all cognitive. It's the non-cognitive skills that set you apart from everybody else. And that's what it's all about. My biggest advice to give everybody in the world is, like I say, we live in an external world. Everything is you gotta see it, touch it, it's external. If you can, for the rest of your life, live inside of yourself, stop listening to people who are calling you fat, gay, transsexual, nigger, everything that is makes no sense. All these insecure people putting their insecurities on you, you gotta flush it out. You gotta take everything and throw it away. Right now, for you to find greatness in yourself, you're not gonna find it by looking in a book or by even hearing me. I may give you the spark, but you've got to go inside yourself to find it. And that means you gotta be quiet. Go in a room, stop talking, search your soul, search your mind, search your abilities, and you'll find it. But if you're not looking for it, you won't find it. So you gotta go start your journey. And the journey starts with you finding, why the hell am I here on this planet Earth? Why am I here? If you don't know that, you will live the rest of your life searching, always asking the question, why? You're lucky that you don't have to think like warriors think. You're very privileged. I chose this world to be a warrior, and I would choose it again if I came back to this world. But the mentality of a warrior is very different than normal mentality. You must be that person on that door, get ready to open it, thinking to yourself, if I die, so be it. The only way you can go in that door is knowing there's a great chance you're gonna die. It's like being a SEAL, you train with live ammo. You jump out of an airplane, everything you do, you could die. So to be a warrior, why people don't understand me, I'm glad you don't understand me. Merry Christmas, good on you. Because being a warrior takes a whole different mindset. A whole different mindset to know that there's a great chance I may not be in the military. Like I was in for 21 years. I'm lucky. I'm very lucky that I'm alive, able to talk to you, able to still run. But when you sign up on that dotted line to be like a SEAL, your mentality changes. I may not live. You gotta accept that. And that's the mentality you have. And that's what makes you a warrior. If you're scared to die, you're a bad warrior. A lot of people, either you like me or you don't, even in the SEAL teams, but when you get to that door or you get on that mission or you get on that op, all that shit's out the door, man. You know, you do it honestly. I mean, people say all the time in these movies and shit, you really out there fighting for that guy beside you. And you can't be a coward. Because you know what, and this is how I look at everything I do now in life, and this sums it up. I hated jumping out of airplanes. I hated shooting guns. I hated the job as a Navy SEAL. But I did it because I wanted to change myself. Everything I do, I'm not really comfortable doing. But if you choose to go that route, to go be a Navy SEAL, because if you're choosing to do something, you have two routes. You can go there and be a little weak person and get through barely, and that's your reputation. Or you can go through the hardest guy you can possibly be, and that's your reputation. If you're choosing to do something, attack it. Because they're going to remember you as not attacking it. So I want to be remembered. You can hate me, but there's one thing you can't say about me. I didn't attack it. So that's the mentality to have. If you're going to do something, you might as well attack it, because you can do it anyway. No matter what avenue I choose, I want to be the very best. And the very best may not be I'm number one. The very best is, did I leave everything inside of me out there? So attacking is not like, oh, I want to win this or win that or be the best. The best is I'm running against myself in everything I do. And that's what I attack. I attack myself. I'm always questioning myself. The accountability mirror is something that I kind of came up with in high school. Like I said, I started shaving my head when I was 16. And I got caught up in trying to impress so many people because no one liked me. So I developed so many different identities. Let me sag my pants. You know, let me pull my pants up. Let me talk this way or act this way or be this way or whatever the hell it may be. God, dog, there's so many different things I did to try to fit in with so many different groups that when you look in the mirror, that's the one person you can't lie to. So every morning I would shave my head thinking, God, I would reflect back on some of the lies I may have told somebody or some of the ways I acted that I didn't feel comfortable doing. And I did it to impress other normal people. The key word there is normal, everyday people. I was trying to make other people like me. How pathetic is that? So this mirror would always tell me, my reflection would say, God, you are a pathetic man. How does that feel every day to be this way? So I would just start having myself accountable. How did I attack today? How did I attack yesterday? And if I didn't do something I was proud of, I would write down a sticky note and I would fix it. I just retired from the military in November 2015. And I was going and going and going and going. And I never really, I was a happy guy, but I'm never in the moment of like sitting back and I want to travel here to have fun or do this or that. I've never been that person. But the first time I really got a chance to experience true happiness and true peace was so what I did to myself to become who I am today, it takes a great toll on your body. So I believe God gave me time to rest and he took me out of commission. Not even the mind of Goggins could get me back up. So I had about a good 6-7 months where I was out. And when I was out, I had time to reflect on all I had accomplished. And that was the first time in my life where I sat back and said, wow. Because only I may be telling you some of the story, I know the exact truth of how brutal my life was and how I shouldn't be on this show today. And how the mind and how beautiful it is. So what brings me joy and happiness is knowing how beautiful the mind is. And I'm one of the few people that didn't read about it, didn't experience it through some drug. I got to experience the beauty of true willpower. I'm going to fail and I will succeed. Just me talking about that gives me a feeling I know what I did. And I don't need to travel somewhere or to have this or have that. I have it all here in my mind. The beauty is remembering this young, dumb, what people call nigger, is now where I'm at today. And that is, when you finally get to that point for me, it's forever lasting peace. Greatness isn't running 200 miles at a time or doing 4,000 pull-ups or being a SEAL. Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed of in your own mind. You gotta first see it. You gotta first create this vision in your mind. And then that's when I come into play. Once you create this vision in your mind, It's how am I going to get there now?
You know, there's a lot of things in life we can measure. We can measure how tall you are. We can measure what you weigh. We can measure your closing percentage in sale. But how do you measure mental and emotional toughness? Pain tolerance is one of the biggest factors of someone who can handle pressure. Because the whole idea of pressure is there's pain. That pain could be embarrassment. That pain could be, I don't know if I can handle this. That pain could be a lot of different things. You know, Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, the difference between a hero and an average person is that the hero goes 5 minutes longer. Meaning the hero can handle the pain 5 minutes longer than the other person. Chadwick Boseman just died. Okay, here's a man that did Jackie Robinson. He did Black Panther. The guy's a great speaker. The guy had colon cancer, none of us knew about it. Let me get this straight. He's had colon cancer for 4 years and the world doesn't know about it? Aren't we living in a time where you're supposed to expose all your problems at any given moment? Aren't all these Huffington Post experts telling people, publicize your pain and share it with the world? Well, Chadwick Boseman says, no, it's none of your business. It's my problem. It's my pain. Never use it as an excuse to not make those movies. I watched both of them. You never made that as an excuse to make Black Panther and to make a bunch of other things this guy did. Never showed hurt.
But there are some people that really enjoy being sick. They like the attention, they like the motivation, they like to use it as an excuse. Well, you know, it's my sugar acting up again. They just enjoy being sick. They make up diseases, hypochondriacs, creating afflictions, excuses to limit them from getting better. I can't relate to it because I want to get well as quick as possible. Some people like being ill because they can then do whatever they want to do and blame it on how they grew up. That becomes your excuse for your temper tantrums and your rages and your obsessions and your excesses. You always categorize it, I'm drinking because of the way I was raised. A set of twins was raised by an alcoholic father, and one of them grew up and became an alcoholic. And they said, you're acting just like your daddy. He said, why are you an alcoholic? He said, because I was raised by an alcoholic. The other twin never touched a drink in his life. They said, why are you not drinking? He said, because I was raised by an alcoholic. Think about it.
One way you measure toughness is just look how much people show hurt. Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace, passes away. 4 years has colon cancer, no one knows about it. He goes to the doctor. That means that this doesn't mean he's not taking care of his body. He's going to the doctor, but he doesn't advertise his pain. Sometimes it's just good not to advertise your pain. Sometimes it's good to not just tell the whole world what you're going through. I'm not telling you don't talk about it with a group of people. I'm not telling you have some private conversations with certain people. I do believe in the ability to have some kind of a form of a release. But the way people are doing it right now, posting everything on Instagram, all this other stuff, what's the point behind it? You need attention? Is that what you need? Mental toughness people are not looking for attention. Mental toughness people are trying to get results. A big difference. You know, life is going to test you every freaking day. You could have 1 week, the best week of your life. Next week, something dramatic happens. I don't know why life works this way. It just does. You can have 1 week, everything goes bad. Next week, everything goes good and great. That's how life is. You're getting tested. So sometimes when you're in it and you're going through challenging times, here's what you think. You think in the moment you are the only person that's going through it. It's a problem, by the way. You're going to be tested in your marriage while you're running a career. You're going to be tested with your family, with somebody passing away, while you're chasing your dreams. Arnold was going to win Mr. Universe. The day before, a few days before his father dies, he tells his mom, I can't make it to the funeral because my dad, if he's watching over me, he wants me to pursue my dreams. I'm going to win Mr. Universe. He goes wins Mr. Universe, and the rest is history. This doesn't mean he doesn't love his dad. This means he's got a spiritual relationship with his dad to say, I don't know what I do in this moment here. He goes, he wins, Weeder figures him out, becomes Mr. Olympia, you know, governor, all these other things that he does. In those moments of the decisions we make, when we're getting tested and you feel like you're by yourself, those are moments where you're measuring your toughness. Those are moments where you're being tested constantly. Again, there's not a method to say you're 93% tough, you're 71% tough. We can't do that. The only way we can measure toughness at the end of the day is with the results that you end up getting. You ever hear people calling someone soft? Oh, he's soft. Oh, she's so soft. What is soft? I'm asking you, what is soft? You've heard that before. Oh, he's soft. He's a soft player. He's soft in business. How do you define soft? Soft is someone that doesn't have a backbone. Soft is someone when they're cornered and push comes to shove, they quit. Soft is someone that claims their values, but then when it comes down to tough things happen in their lives, they compromise their values. Soft is somebody that declares their intentions. Here's what I'm gonna do, world. But then when it gets tough, they say, no, I'm gonna quit and take the easy way out. That's how you define soft. Call anybody anything but soft. Do you understand like how bad of a thing it is to be called soft? But a lot of people are soft. I have them in my business. I've seen them in my industry. There were many times in life where in my mind, I was about to choose the soft decision. Many times in my life. This whole Ralph Waldo Emerson concept about, the only difference between a hero and an average person is the fact that he can take the pain 5 minutes longer. That's the thing. So if you're watching this right now saying, how does that relate to me? Ask yourself, how do you react when tough times show up? How do you react when you're getting tested? How do you react when you have your pain? How do you do under pressure? How do you do it? And by the way, every single time you escape pressure and you say, well, the next time it happens, I'm not gonna run. No, that's not how this thing works. Your memory remembers the last 3-4 times how you handled pressure. And it just reacts to the same way you've been doing your entire life. So if you say, well, this didn't work out, I'm gonna go to the next thing, you're gonna do the same thing again and again and again and again. Pressure sucks. Being tested sucks. There's nothing about it when you're in it that's exciting. Nothing about it that's exciting when you're in it. But there's a lot of great things about it when you come out of it. There's a lot of exciting things about it when you leave it. And all of a sudden you're looking at victories taking place. So moving forward, you want to build toughness, you want to be known somebody that gets things done and you're not soft, the next time you're going to say you're going to do something, do it. The next time you're in a pressure type situation where it sucks and you have the ability to lose and be embarrassed, tolerate the pain a little longer. Go a little longer. The next time you're in a moment that you don't really like being in and it's embarrassing, go a little longer. The next time you're going through pressure type situations where you're being tested, talk to yourself. Actually talk to yourself and say, hey, didn't Ralph Waldo Emerson say the difference between a hero and an average person is that you go 5 minutes longer? I'm gonna go 5 minutes longer. Our body can handle a lot of pain that we don't know about. I'm gonna push my body to that level. I'm gonna push it and test my limits. That's the beautiful part about life.
And I know I've said before that knowledge is the most important thing, but the reality is if you don't have the strength or actually the health to back that up or even to function as a human being physically, then your knowledge and your mental strength doesn't really even matter. So that comes into play. And being big and strong is also totally useless if you're mentally weak and you quit. Now, being mentally strong should actually lead you to being physically strong, because if you are mentally strong, then you can work and train to become physically strong. But if you're mentally weak, then you will not hold the line on the good foods and the good workouts, and you won't get physically strong or healthy. So train your physical strength and exercise your mental strength by doing the right things, the hard things, the things you know you're supposed to do. do them. And be as strong as you can mentally, physically, and emotionally for yourself, for your team, for your family. Hold the line and be strong.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.